European country of Belgium is observing 3 days of national mourning after a series of terrorist attacks there yesterday. It's where we start this edition of our show. The ISIS terrorist group says it's responsible for attacks in an airport and a subway station in Belgium's capital. It started Tuesday morning with 2 blasts at the Brussels airport, and at about 9 a.m., an hour later, there was another explosion at a train station. Officials say at least 30 people were killed in the attacks. They estimate the number of wounded is more than 200. They believe that 2 of the people involved were suicide attackers, and they're hunting for a third suspect.
We are aware that we are confronted with a tragic moment and are appealing to everyone to stay calm and united in these difficult circumstances.
Belgian security forces say they're working off the assumption that the attackers came from the same network that's responsible for last November's terrorist attacks in Paris, France, which left 130 dead. And the blasts in Belgium came within a week of the arrest of Salah Abdeslam, Europe's most wanted man, the only surviving person suspected of a direct role in the Paris attacks. But police say their investigation is only beginning and that they don't know yet if the attacks and Abdeslam's capture are linked. Some suburbs of Brussels are known to be hotbeds of Islamic extremism. Many of the people there are immigrants from North Africa, and some of them have been linked to terrorist plots and attacks.
Belgium has contributed per capita the highest number of ISIS fighters out of all of Western Europe. So clearly there are really fertile fields here that the jihadi recruitment networks are able to sow and entrench their ideologies. Part of that, just speaking to people within the community, is this sense of disenfranchisement. The Belgian Muslim population has extraordinary high unemployment. It's something at like 40%. There really is a central issue regarding social cohesion and integration. Of course, none of these justify what happens, but when you speak to those within the community, they say, criminality, kids getting involved with gangs, as we saw with some of those attackers in Paris, that they actually had rap sheets as petty criminals. And then it is a very short step from there, from being targeted by these radical networks. So you have this marginalization, this sense of disenfranchisement that makes the kids very easy targets for gangs and petty crime and lives that take them out of the mainstream. And then when they are further marginalized, these recruitment networks pick them off. And then also you have this issue with this real presence of extremist literature here that the authorities have been combating and not really able to combat it successfully because they have been so concerned about freedom of expression, much like in the US, and freedom of speech. But you have a central plank of the recruitment networks, which is the extremist literature being so easily obtainable.
The ongoing investigation into a terrorist attack in the U.S. may be heating up. We've told you about the legal fight between the FBI and the Apple technology company. After a terrorist attack in San Bernardino, California last year, which killed 14 people, investigators recovered the iPhone of one of the shooters, but all of its information could be erased if officials don't enter the right passcode. They asked Apple for help. Apple refused. Last month, a judge ordered Apple to help investigators hack into the phone. Apple's been fighting that order, saying it violates their rights. But now this whole legal fight has been postponed. Why? Because the government might have found another way to hack into the iPhone. An outside group apparently showed investigators a direct method for unlocking the device. So the Justice Department says it may no longer need Apple's help. It's not every week we have 2 different schools with a mascot called the Green Wave, but we do this week. Today's Green Wave is making waves in Greenfield, Massachusetts. Great to see everyone today at Greenfield Middle School. Next, we're taking you to where the buffalo roam. That's in Mountain View, Wyoming, where you'll find Mountain View High School. And finally, to the Russian capital. Thank you for using the show at Moscow State Linguistics University. It's in Moscow. Thousands of cases of canned tuna fish are being recalled nationwide in the U.S. The brands include Bumblebee Chunk Light Tuna, Chicken of the Sea Tuna, and Hill Country Fair Tuna sold in H-E-B grocery stores. Company officials say there was a malfunction in part of the machinery that processes the food, so the fish might be undercooked. And officials say bacteria might be in it that could cause deadly illnesses. Customers who have certain cans are being told to throw them out, but at this point, no one's known to actually have gotten sick from eating it. Bumblebee says its recall is being done out of an abundance of caution.
Hundreds of people get sick every year from foods that are recalled. Many times you hear that the Food and Drug Administration recalled certain foods, but usually that's not the case. Only rarely does the FDA do a recall. Usually it's the company on its own that does the recall. Sometimes a food recall is done because health authorities know that that food has gotten someone sick. Other times it's done because an inspector at a plant has noticed that something wasn't done quite right and they want to prevent people from getting sick. When a food's been recalled, you can just throw it out or you can take it back to the place where you bought it and they should give you a refund. If you're wondering if a food in your kitchen has been recalled, the FDA has a list on its website. If you're worried that you found out about a recall after you ate the food, don't panic. Often recalls are done just as precautionary measures.
When you think of space travel, you probably think of rockets or shuttles, vehicles with powerful, fiery engines that propel people up, up, and away. What about balloons? The oldest form of human flight may be the next step for people who want to travel to the edge of space. Though, like other types of private stratospheric travel, it takes more than a pretty penny for a ticket.
I think it would be a tremendous shame to live my entire life on a planet I've never really seen. I think that sort of changes how you view life and really gives you a better appreciation.
We're working to make space as accessible as a commercial airline flight. We have people from all around the world who've bought tickets to fly in the Worldview capsule. Our tickets right now are $75,000 a seat. The oldest person is in their 80s.
Air Force balloonist Captain Joseph Kittinger Jr. is laced into an elaborate pressure suit in preparation for a daring ascent into the stratosphere.
The idea for balloons in manned space goes all the way back to Kittinger in the 50s. Before the age of rockets and the great space race, we were using high-altitude balloons to take people to the edge of space. And so it's this really old idea that's laid dormant really for the last 60 years, and it seemed it was time to bring it back. As we began to develop that project, the StratX program came along. The team really gelled around taking Alan Eustace to the edge of space and having him jump from the edge of space down very quickly. The team and that technology essentially formed the basis of Worldview.
The balloon that takes the capsule up is about the size of a football stadium. So imagine looking out the window when it's completely dark out and there's an incredible starscape outside, like really nobody has seen except the astronauts. And you'll see the sun start lighting up the planet below you. You'll see the curvature of the Earth, but the sky will still be black. It's going to be the most extraordinary sight.
When it's time to come back, we open up a big parafoil that is about 3,200 square feet, the largest parafoil that's ever been operated. This parafoil, for example, is about 1,200 square feet, so it'd be about 3 times bigger than this one. The balloon itself falls essentially in a big ball of plastic towards the Earth, but then a team goes out and collects the balloon, and it gets turned into plastic bottles.
We really feel that taking people up in this way is going to really open the door to a space experience in a way that you really can't do any other way. Humans have always explored. We've always gone beyond. We always have. And we always must. That's what, in large measure, makes us human.
In Japan, a local government has put out a help wanted sign. It's looking for a few good ninjas. The elite martial artists are part of Japan's culture and history. They're sleek and athletic, they're great spies, but today at least, ninjas don't get paid much. The year-long contract is worth just under $20,000. And the ideal candidates, unlike ideal ninjas, are talkative and willing to perform on stage. It's aimed at promoting tourism for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. So if you're between 18 and 30 and you have a bachelor's degree in martial arts, this could be the nin job for you. You'll need to be faster than a turtle though, and Splinter and Shredder are probably beyond the age range, so it's a more serious position than would fit a comic. I'm Carl Azus, and we'll see you tomorrow.